What if I told you that most people who look rich online are actually one emergency away from financial disaster? Think about it. Every day you scroll past luxury vacations, new iPhones, designer clothes, and shiny new cars. But behind the filters and perfect angles, what does the average person's financial life actually look like? Today, we're exposing the truth. How much money does the average person really make? How much debt are they drowning in? And most importantly, are you secretly doing better than you think, or worse than you realize? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand financially compared to millions of other people, and some of these numbers might genuinely shock you. Let's start with income. Because no matter who you are, every financial decision begins with one question: how much money is actually coming in? The average full-time worker earns around $52,000 a year before taxes. Sounds decent, right? But here's the reality check. After taxes, insurance, Social Security, and all the deductions, that number shrinks fast. Suddenly, you're left with something closer to $35,000, $40,000 in actual take-home pay. Now ask yourself this: could you comfortably live, save, invest, and prepare for retirement on that amount? Because most people can't. And that's exactly why so many households are stuck in a dangerous cycle. Earn money, spend money, repeat. Month after month, year after year, the average household spends more than $5,500 every single month. Housing alone eats up nearly $2,000. Transportation costs almost another $1,000. Food, around $700. And that's before entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, or emergencies even enter the picture. This is why so many people feel trapped even when they're earning what sounds like a good salary. But things get even more alarming when we talk about savings. The average American saves only about 6% of their income. 6%. That might not sound terrible at first, until you realize how expensive life actually is. A house down payment can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Cars are more expensive than ever. Medical bills can wipe out savings overnight. And retirement? That's the scariest part. The median retirement savings for Americans sits at around $65,000. At first glance, maybe that sounds okay. But let's do the math. If you retire with around $88,000 saved and follow the classic 4% withdrawal rule, you can safely spend only about $300 per month from those savings. $300? That barely covers groceries. Forget travel, forget comfort, forget enjoying retirement. And here's the terrifying part: 1 out of 4 people has absolutely nothing saved for retirement. 0, so what happens then? Most people hope Social Security will save them. But the average monthly benefit is only around $1,550. Now imagine trying to survive on that for 20 or even 30 years after retirement. That's why this conversation matters so much. Because the average financial path clearly isn't working. And if you think debt is making things easier, think again. The average household carries over $9,000 in credit card debt, and with interest rates hitting 20% or higher, people are basically paying banks hundreds or even thousands of dollars every year just for the privilege of staying broke. Here's the crazy part: most of that debt didn't come from emergencies. It came from impulse purchases, online shopping, expensive dinners, things people wanted for 5 minutes but are still paying off years later. Now let's talk about net worth, the number that quietly reveals your real financial position. Your net worth is everything you own minus everything you owe, and the median net worth for Americans? Around $122,000. But age changes everything. People under 35 often have less than $14,000 in net worth. Many are buried under student loans, car payments, and rising living costs before they even have a chance to build wealth. And yet, despite all these depressing numbers, there's actually good news hidden inside them. Because beating the average is easier than most people think. You don't need to become a millionaire overnight. You don't need a Lamborghini, a 6-figure salary, or some secret investing strategy. If you simply avoid credit card debt, save consistently, invest regularly, and spend slightly less than you earn, you're already ahead of millions of people. That's the shocking truth nobody talks about. The financial bar is actually set incredibly low. Most people aren't failing because they're unlucky. They're failing because they never learned how money really works. And once you understand the rules, everything changes. Imagine living just $1,000 below the average household spending every month. That's $12,000 per year you could invest. Over time, that gap becomes enormous. Small financial decisions repeated consistently create massive results. That's how wealth is really built, not through luck, through habits. So maybe the real question isn't, how much money does the average person have? Maybe the real question is, do you want to stay average? Because now you know what average looks like. And honestly, it's probably not the future you want. If this video opened your eyes, hit the subscribe button and join the channel, because your financial future depends on what you do next.